Most students lose marks on paper 2 before they even write a word. And here's how the top IGCSE students ace it. And in this video, I'm going to be guiding you through paper 2 for the Specimen paper of 2027. This is the color code and the key to my 8-mark and 12-mark questions. Yellow is for the knowledge point and blue is for the application point. Although in the mark scheme it says that the analysis points are not awarded in the 4-part questions, the 8-mark questions will always have the command term explain, which means we need to analyze but not get awarded for it. Moving on to the 12-mark questions. For level 1, this mainly consists of knowledge marks, which will be highlighted in yellow. In order to achieve a level 2, there are 2 methods that Cambridge will allow. The first one is to ensure that you have a knowledge, followed by an analysis and a further analysis of the same point. This will be highlighted in yellow for the knowledge and the 2 subsequent analysis points in green. The other way is to identify the advantage, which is essentially a knowledge point and analysis, and a disadvantage and analysis. And having both of these will then get you a level 2. And this will be highlighted in yellow and green. And for the level 3, you need to make a choice and then justify your choice. And then you need to justify why the other 2 choices are not the best. And this will be highlighted in orange. So for question 1, explain 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages of TT being a private limited company. Advantage 1 is to raise finance by selling shares to family and friends. This helps TT attain the $500,000 capital needed to expand its 50 cafes, or open new ones without taking on heavy bank loans. Now the first mark came from raising finance, and the second mark came from the application of $500,000. And the explanation of raising finance is that they do not have to take on heavy bank loans. Advantage 2. TT will have limited liability, meaning that only the owner's investment in the cafe is at risk if something goes wrong, such as a consumer getting ill after eating a dessert. Their personal assets are protected, giving the owners more financial security. 1 mark being able to identify limited liability, the other is for the application of cafe, and an explanation of how limited liability is able to protect the owners. A disadvantage is that shares can only be sold to family and friends, which limits how much capital TT can raise, and this may force TT to take out a bank loan to fund new cafes selling its ice cream, increasing interest rates. And 1 mark for saying family and friends, which is the knowledge mark, and the other mark for stating ice cream, which is the application mark. And the impact of only being able to sell to family and friends is that they don't have enough capital, so they might need to go to a bank to borrow more. And the second disadvantage is that they need to publish financial statements. So rival dessert cafes can see its profit levels, and they can adjust the prices or marketing, reducing its competitive advantage. 1 mark for saying publish financial statements, and the other mark comes from identifying desserts. And in green, as you can see, is the analysis, which is not awarded, however, required, as the command term here is explain. So if we add up the knowledge and application marks, we can see there's 4 knowledge and 4 application. Question 1b. Consider the following 3 methods of market research TT could use when deciding which products to sell in the new cafe. Which method should TT use? Justify your answer. Just a disclaimer, for this answer I have copied and pasted the entire analysis section of the specimen answer question, and then I have taken the feedback from the examiner's comments and I have made the recommendation better, which resulted in a 12 out of 12. Let me show you. So for the first point, competitors' website, as they offer large amount of information about their desserts and ice cream, this will allow TT to put their prices lower than the competitors' prices, and this will result in an increase in sales and revenue, which will increase their market share. However, TT's competitors may not be located anywhere near the new cafe, and so if they do lower their prices, it is not likely to attract customers away from its competitors. As you can see in this answer here, there is an advantage and disadvantage identified for competitors' websites, and there is clear analysis of the impact for both, and also they have applied, as they said, cafes. So for the first paragraph, I am very happy to give it its first level 2. If you do not know how the 12-mark questions are marked, please click on the link here. For focus groups, this will allow TT to obtain detailed information about its customer preferences, which will help them get a better idea of which products to sell, and this will help them gain higher sales and revenue. However, it is expensive and time-consuming to set up, and TT's costs may be increased further, which will impact cash flow and profitability. And the same thing goes for focus groups. There is an advantage and disadvantage, and both impact and effects have been explained, and it has also been applied, as they have said, desserts. And this will be their second level 2 paragraph. Observation in other cafes is when they secretly observe the behavior of customers, which may give more accurate data than asking questions that they may not answer truthfully. And this gives them a better idea what's popular, which will allow TT to make better decisions about which cake to sell in the new cafe, which makes them more competitive and attractive to customers. However, TT will never know the reasons for their choice. So it might be that consumers prefer other cakes that these cafes are not currently selling. And as a result, this could lead to TT making choices for cakes to sell that are less useful. This paragraph also has an advantage and disadvantage, and they have explained the impact of these to the business. And this gives them their third level 2. And here in the recommendation, I have used the examiner's feedback in the specimen answer paper in order to get full marks. So my first level 3 would be to choose the best one, which is observation in local cafes is the best as it reveals real buying behavior in a similar area. So TT can actually select the products customers genuinely purchase, which reduces the risk of poor sales. So I've chosen and justified. This gets me my first level 3 point. Websites are not the best as they may not reflect real local demand or current trends, and this leads to TT basing their choices on unreliable data. For websites, I have identified why they are not the best, and I've explained the impact of this as they are basing their decisions on unreliable data. This gives me the second level 3 point. And finally, I have identified why focus groups are not the best as opinions may differ from the actual behavior, which is a waste of time and money from them selling their ice cream. And this will be my application point for the level 3 area. And because I have identified and explained why focus groups are not the best, that is my third level 3. So with 3 level 3s and 1 application, that is 12 out of 12. Question 2a. Explain 2 benefits of TT providing employment contracts for its employees. Benefit 1 is to remove any misunderstandings between TT and its employees. And the explanation is that this clarity helps prevent disputes about pay or duties. So employees can focus on providing excellent customer service. Furthermore, they can stay motivated, which reduces turnover and the need for constant retraining for serving desserts and drinks. Because this is a 2-part 8-marker style, each section has 1 knowledge point, 2 analysis points, and 1 application point. For benefit 1, the knowledge point came from the removal of misunderstandings, and the first analysis point came from the impact of this, which was to prevent disputes about pay or duties, and this allows employees to focus on providing excellent customer service. And then we have further analyzed this by saying that staff are more likely to stay motivated and loyal to TT, reducing turnover and the need for constant retraining. So the second mark came in the further analysis of this. And then the application is desserts. So at the moment, we are on 4 marks. The second benefit is that it provides security for both TT and its employees, as this will reduce disruption to daily operations and ensure customers will continue receiving constant service in their 50 cafes. And if an employee fails to meet expectations, TT is able to dismiss them fairly under contract terms without the risk of being taken to court. The second knowledge mark in this question is that it provides security for both TT and its employees. And the third knowledge mark comes from the reduction of disruptions, which ensures customers continue to receive constant service in their 50 cafes. And the fourth and final analysis mark is essentially another reason, which it protects it legally. So if an employee fails to meet expectations, they can be dismissed fairly under the contract terms. So this second reason will give another analysis mark for benefit 2. And we have 50 cafes identified. So this question will get 8 out of 8. Question 2b. Consider the advantages and disadvantages of the following 2 methods TT could use to motivate its employees. Which method should TT use? Justify your answer. Employee of the Month, as this is a low-cost way to reward and recognize good performance. This will result in giving excellent customer service, and this will lead to faster service, happier customers, and higher sales, which will improve TT's reputation. However, only one employee wins each month, and the other workers will feel unappreciated and demotivated, which will reduce teamwork and productivity during busy times. Again, we have identified 2 knowledge points, which is the advantage and the disadvantage of Employee of the Month, and we have explained the impacts of this to the business of TT. And along with an application point of cafes, this gets a level 2. And for job enrichment, this involves giving employees more responsibility and a wider range of tasks. This will make them feel more trusted and valued, which will increase intrinsic motivation and improving customer service quality across all of 50 of TT's cafes. However, enrichment requires extra training and time, which increases the short-term costs, and also, some employees may not want added duties or may feel stressed, which leads to the possibility of absenteeism. And again, this paragraph has an advantage and disadvantage with an explanation of how it impacts the business and its effects. And this paragraph gets its second level 2, along with the application where it says 50 cafes. And lastly, for the recommendation, TT should use job enrichment as it benefits all employees across its 50 cafes, not just one a month. And the impact of this choice is that it will create longer lasting motivation, and the effect of this is that it will give long-term benefits for service quality and brand consistency, which is far greater than the costs. So as we have made a choice and justified it, this gives us our first level 3. And for Employee of the Month scheme, this is rejected because it only motivates one person temporarily and risks damaging teamwork. This will be our second level 3. And also the reward is too small, which creates meaningful change, whereas job enrichment builds lasting motivation and higher overall performance for TT selling ice cream. And this will be our third and final level 3. And we have our final application point here. So this gives us 12 out of 12. Question 3. Calculate the average cost of each dessert. Show you're working. So in this question, we have added up the fixed and variable costs, which is $1,000 and $20,000, divided by the quantity, which is 5,000 units, and that will be $4.20 for this question. Calculate the variable cost for each dessert, show you're working. So the total variable cost is $20,000, and then we divide that by 5,000, sorry, not the dollar, this is 5,000 units, and the variable cost will be $4. State 4 ways the cost data in the previous two questions might be used by a business. Remember that the command word is state, so these are 4 knowledge points for these 4 ways. So way 1 is which product to sell, way 2, what price to charge, way 3, the break-even number of sales, and way 4, which supplier to use. Question B. Use Appendix 2 and other information to consider TT's financial position. Do you think TT's financial position improved in 2025? Justify your answer using suitable calculations. And for your information, this question was extracted directly from the Specimen answer paper from Cambridge. And the only adjustments I have done is for the conclusion, which is for the 3 level 3 points. According to the examiner's feedback, the first paragraph, the bits in yellow, is a level 1 answer, as the candidate has simply just described the numbers, and really they have just copied the information from the case study and put it into a paragraph. Now, for the second paragraph, the examiner's comment stated that just this paragraph alone in the green got 3 level 2 marks. Let me show you. The candidate here has clearly correctly calculated the current assets, and the new number is 1.5. And in the explanation, they said that in 2024, it had 3 times the amount of current assets, meaning it was 3 to 1. So by this calculation through an explanation, this is the first level 2 mark. The candidate further analyzed that in 2024, they may have too many current assets which are not earning a return. This was the second level 2. And the final level 2 was the calculation of the acid test ratio, from 1 in 2024 to 0.5 in 2025. So the conclusion is where I used the examiner's comment to improve this answer to a 12 out of 12. So for the first level 3 mark, I've said that TT's financial position is not improved in 2025 as the acid test ratio fell by 0.5, which shows a very poor liquidity. This may cause cash flow problems as TT struggles to repay short-term debts. I have picked a side, stating that it is not improved in 2025, and I have justified it. That's my first level 3. I have then said that the $5 million overdraft and the $3 million bank loan gives higher interest rates, meaning the cost will increase, and this will cause financial risk in the long term. That is my second level 3. And the last reason for why 2025 is not as good as 2024 is that although there is a small rise in cash and receivables, long and short-term solvency are worse off in 2025. And this means that the risk exposure is increased on both the long and short term and overall less financially stable. And this is the last level 3 mark. As you probably have already realized, I am lacking an application point in the conclusion, so I'm going to add it in right at the end. Watch this. And there we have it. We have our application right at the end, and the examiner is forced to give us this point. Question 4a. Explain one advantage and one disadvantage of TT using environmentally friendly packaging for its products. This question has been directly copied and pasted from the Specimen answer paper, and the examiner comment said that it got 6 out of 8 due to no application. The knowledge and analysis were okay. So what I have done here is to add the 2 application points to the end of each explanation. Let me show you. The advantage of this is that it will improve its reputation. And the explanation is that it will attract many more customers who want to purchase products of this type. This will increase sales revenue and market share. And what I have added in is the application, which is desserts. Disadvantage: there will be a higher cost to clean the packaging, and the explanation is that the variable cost will likely to increase which will reduce profit margins for their ice cream. And ice cream I have added in myself. This gets an 8 out of 8. If you want to see this answer in the Specimen Answer Paper 2, then please check out the links below. And for the final question, use Appendix 3 and the other information to consider how each of the following 3 changes might affect TT. Which change is likely to have the greatest effect on TT? Justify your answer. For this question on the Specimen Answer Paper 2, I have copied a decrease in tax on people's income and a decrease in interest rates, as these 2 paragraphs scored a level 2. In the paper, an increase in tax on business profits only scored a level 1, so I have improved this, and I have also improved the conclusion. Just a quick note that this specific question does not follow the advantage and disadvantage setup for each point. For this candidate, they have decided to use the analysis and further analysis in order to get their level 2 points. As the first and third point were awarded level 2s and they used this strategy, this is clearly okay, as it doesn't specifically ask for benefits or advantages and disadvantages in the question itself. So let's have a look at the candidate's answer. A decrease in tax on people's income from 25% to 20% will increase demand for TT's cafes. And the impact of this is that they can spend more of their income on luxuries, which will increase the revenue for TT. As we have a knowledge, analysis, and further analysis, this gives us our first level 2. And for an increase in tax on business profits, this will lead to less retained profit after paying tax. And this means that there will be less funds available for reinvestment, such as expanding cafes or buying new equipment, which will slow its growth. As a result, competitors may gain its advantage, reducing TT's future sales and profitability. As you can see, there is a knowledge, analysis, and further analysis. This gives us our second level 2. Now for the next part, which is a decrease in interest rate, this candidate here has said a decrease in interest rate will leave consumers with less interest being paid on savings, which may reduce the number of times they visit, causing them to have less demand and lower sales. Although this statement is economically accurate, this does not apply to a significant amount of the global population. As the only people that benefit from high interest rates in their savings are retirees and people with very large savings, the number of people that fit in this category is very slim. Now let's move on. However, if TT want to take out a bank loan to expand, it will cost them less in interest payments and may make it more likely for them to expand. Although it does have a funny start, but it does have a knowledge and analysis for the bank loan, and the examiner comment did give this a level 2 mark, so we just need to agree to disagree. All 3 paragraphs are now level 2, so we move on to the conclusion. The increase in business profit tax has the greatest effect, as this directly cuts TT's retained profit and weakens its ability to reinvest and expand, limiting long-term growth. So I have selected that business tax will have the greatest effect, and I have given a reason for it. A decrease in income tax may boost demand only temporarily, but competitors will also benefit. The gain is shared and is less significant. This is a justification of why a decrease in income tax is not the most effective. And lastly, the decrease in interest rates may lower TT's loan costs slightly, but the savings are smaller than the loss from higher profit tax, which makes it least impactful. The first level 3 was the justification of profit tax was the greatest effect as it impacts long-term growth. The second level 3 was saying that a decrease in income tax will benefit everyone else as well. And the third level 3 came from saying that the decrease in interest rates, the savings was smaller compared to the higher profit tax, which makes it least impactful. And the application in this paragraph is expand. So we have 3 level 3s, which gives us 11 out of 12, and an application, which is expand. This gives us 12 out of 12. I hope that helped. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.